Alright, so after spending a good amount of time, I'm ready to give you guys my full review of the NuPhy FIELD75, the first gaming-centric mechanical keyboard from the brand known for creating one of the best sounding and feeling pre-built keyboards with their Halo series, and arguably the best low-profile keyboards as well with their Air series, NuPhy. Now, the NuPhy FIELD75 sets itself apart from other pre-built keyboards by featuring a sort of diesel punk design with a metal handlebar and volume knob, an extra gear knob, and a dedicated mode switch with tons of customizable macro buttons for toggling different gaming hotkeys. It also features tri-mode connectivity, and the key difference here is that it supports up to 1000 Hz polling rate. Aside from that, it also features everything the awesome Halo series offers with good build quality, decent PBT double shot stock keycaps, lubed switches and stabilizers out of the box, and has pretty much all the modern sound dampening materials inside, making up for one of the best sounding and feeling gaming keyboard out in the market. However, I honestly feel like this gaming keyboard, with all of its potential, is not yet 100% ready for prime time. Let me explain. Let's get into it. The packaging is essentially the same as other NuPhy keyboards, which means it features a slide-type outer sleeve with some branding and key features around it. Inside the box, we have the user manual, an accessory box, the NuPhy FIELD75 itself, and Q&A paperwork. Here's a quick look at the user manual, which you can take a screenshot and have a rough idea about its functionalities. At the back of it, of course, we gotta have that anime poster that we've known from NuPhy. Now, inside the small accessory box, we have some replacement keycaps for Windows OS, the 2.4 GHz USB dongle, some sample switches that this keyboard can come with depending on your chosen configuration. We also have a braided USB cable for wired mode and charging, and a switch and keycap puller. The keyboard also comes with a handy plastic dust cover, which is always appreciated. By the way, the desk mat of choice for some of our B-rolls in this video is the Dark Metaverse desk mat from Iconic Blitz, designed by Franksy. It features standard 900 by 400mm dimensions with high quality print and amazing artwork that is very close to the heart of the artist. This is not sponsored, but again, I want to show them my support, so if you're interested, I'll put some links below. Going back, the NuPhy FIELD75 features an unorthodox exploded 75% layout with a mostly standard configuration with regards to the partition between the key clusters, except on the function rows up top. As you can tell, for some reason, they've decided to remove the gap between F8 and F9, and honestly, I find it kinda weird, especially the fact that there is enough space between F4 and F5 to make it more, I would say, symmetrical and standard. Moving past that, we also have some LED indicators here, a nice metal volume knob on the left with a button on its side, an extra rotatable gear that also functions as a button, and a dedicated switch for its tri-mode connectivity. Not only that, we even have a total of 8 customizable macro buttons targeted towards gaming. At their default settings, they function as media keys. Now, looking in front, as you can tell, we have a unique chamfered edge on top, and this keyboard features a very clean high-profile design hiding the switches. On the left side, we can get a better look at the metal handlebar and the volume knob and the side button. It is also naturally slightly angled. On the back side, we have a USB pass-through here, wherein you can plug your gaming mouse's USB dongle and minimize wireless interference. It only works though in wired mode. On the other side, we have the on and off buttons and the USB Type-C port for charging in wired mode. At the bottom, we have 5 rubber feet and 2 flip-out stands with rubber tips as well. Underneath the right flip-out stand, we have a nostalgic DIP switch, which you can use to interchange the functionality of some keys without the need for the software. And last but not the least, here at the bottom, we also have a nice chrome badge. This keyboard weighs around 1.3 kilograms, which is quite heavy, especially if you plan on bringing this along with you in LAN games or on-the-go gaming and productivity sessions. It is built like a tank though, with almost no flex on its body. Now, in terms of the fonts, we have a pretty clean and familiar typeface here on both the alphanumeric keys and modifiers, with the usual secondary legends on the function rows up top. What we have here is the Gravity variant with a combination of white, purple, and charcoal gray colorway that perfectly matches the colors on the knobs and macro keys. This is made out of durable PBT material with essentially permanent double shot legends. This means it will not fade away over time and could maintain its texture for a longer period compared to ABS plastic. They also chose to use cherry profile here, which is better for gaming compared to their taller KOP profile keycaps. The thickness is around 1.3 to 1.5 millimeters, which passes my preference. Now, NuPhy also sent their NuEther and Gravity Shine Through keycaps for those who prefer RGB. This set is compatible with Halo 65, Halo 75, and of course, Field 75. This one is made out of polycarbonate plastic and if I'm not mistaken, has a top coating with laser etched legends. It has a decent thickness of around 1.5mm. It is less durable than PBT double shot material, but it's the only way to do it to allow the RGB lighting to shine through. Speaking of RGB lighting, this is the perfect time to showcase that with the shine through keycaps mounted. Now, the extra gear here is for toggling different lighting effects. You can adjust the brightness by rotating the gear and switch between different lighting modes by pressing it like so. As for the switches, what we have here is NuPhy's own and latest fitting gold switch, which is tactile and has a typical 55 grams actuation force but with a slightly shorter total travel distance of around 3.3mm. It is a lightweight switch that has slightly better tactile feedback than the typical brown switch, but no way near the likes of the Gazo Boba U40, a Flying Inks, or some of the more pronounced tactile switches out in the market. The top and bottom housing is made out of polycarbonate plastic, while the stem is made out of polyketone plastic. Now, while I appreciate that the stem is lubed out of the factory, I don't think it's a good idea to lube the legs on a tactile switch. The lubricant will make it less tactile, though the shape of the bump alone already made the tactile feedback quite subtle. The good thing here is that in case you didn't like the stock switches, you can easily swap them out thanks to the hot swappable sockets, albeit north-facing. The length of the stem is around 14.4mm, giving it just the right amount of space to prevent any interference between the cherry profile keycap and the north-facing sockets, which is quite clutch. Now, I have no doubt when it comes to the stabilizers, as this is something that NuPhy has already perfected. Aside from the nice sound dampener underneath the spacebar, all the stabilizers are substantially lubed. Some may even argue that it's overdone, but they sound pretty good and they are not mushy at all, so I'm not complaining. Not to mention, it also has the phenomenal game changer NuPhy Ghost Bar, which in my opinion is undisputedly the best stock spacebar on any pre-built keyboard thanks to its additional dampening materials. Just listen to this comparison. And of course, a proper sound test for you guys. Sounds pretty damn good out of the box, right? The only thing I wish when it comes to its components is that they offer other materials for the plate other than the usual steel plate that they're using. An optional polycarbonate or FR4 plate would be highly appreciated. Now, there are a lot of things that I still need to cover for this keyboard, and I honestly don't think this keyboard is meant to be taken apart, especially since it already sounds and feels good out of the box, so we're gonna skip the teardown experience for now. In terms of the features and functionalities, I'll just pop them on the screen so that you can check them out without wasting too much of your time. But essentially, what's important here is that you can connect up to 4 devices with this keyboard simultaneously, with 3 via Bluetooth and 1 via 2.4 GHz USB dongle, and quickly switch between them by pressing Fn plus 1 to 4. Again, the 8 macro keys by default function as media keys but are highly customizable via the NuPhy console, which we'll dive deeper into later. As for the volume knob, its side button and extra gear at the upper left corner, unfortunately, they are not customizable, and probably the most significant shortcoming here is that the side button on the volume knob doesn't offer any functionality. This is one of the reasons why I put on hold my review for a while, because I was waiting for NuPhy to finally release a proper working software so that I can share with you the full experience, and I was hoping that the knob, side button, and extra gear are customizable, but they are not. Upon the initial release of the NuPhy console for the FIELD75, users including me encountered issues like it getting flagged by most antivirus and in some cases causing the keyboard to function erratically. And just a few days ago, they released an update via their Discord server, still not available for download by the way on their website, an updated version of the beta software. While it solves the antivirus issue and erratic behavior for most users, some are still skeptical about the audio record.exe process, which I believe is for the audio visualizer feature. But I cannot blame some users for getting worried about that. And hopefully, NuPhy can finally sort the software part of their product and services to give justice to their already pretty awesome hardware. Aside from that, the software actually functions pretty well, but it's definitely not ready for prime time, as again, the volume knob, its side button, and extra gear is not customizable, which is a bummer given the amount of potential it can offer, especially the side button and the extra gear. With that being said, let's take a look at the software. Inside the software, we have the light setting, button setting, macro management, and other settings. Of course, we can create multiple profiles and modify them as needed. Under the light settings, we have all the lighting effects that I showed you earlier, but like I said, it also has the audio record.exe process that I think is for this audio visualizer feature, since this keyboard, as far as I can tell, doesn't have a built-in microphone like the Skylum keyboards, so this audio visualizer should be software-based. Of course, you can also adjust other parameters here like brightness, speed, direction, and colors. Now, under the button settings, you can customize most of the keys to another function like a mouse key, another keyboard key, multimedia shortcuts, and the usual stuff. However, as I said earlier, the volume knob, side button, and extra gear aren't customizable. Hopefully, this is something that NuPhy can fix in the future update. All 8 macro keys, however, can be customized like any other key. Now, under the macro management, you can record your macros and of course, map them on either the default keys or on the 8 extra macro keys. And lastly, we have other settings where we can lock the Windows key, summon the standard Windows keyboard settings, and switch between different polling rates. Though as per testing, it's always picking up 1000 Hz regardless of the setting you choose here. So yeah. By the way, make sure to unplug the 2.4 GHz dongle before using the software via wired mode to avoid any conflicts. And I highly suggest that if you're interested in this keyboard, to check out NuPhy's Discord server, because there is a lot of valuable information there, both from NuPhy themselves and the actual end users. Now, unlike the Nowhere Timeless 82 with a pretty similar software, we don't have an option to swap WASD with the arrow keys, and we also don't have the option to change the NKRO performance. Speaking of NKRO and overall performance, NKRO works properly in all modes, wired, Bluetooth, and 2.4 GHz. I've been using this for competitive Valorant for a few weeks now, and I can safely say that it's reliable enough via its 2.4 GHz wireless frequency, which by the way also supports 1000 Hz like the wired mode. Although of course, if you want the least possible input latency, wired mode is still the way to go, especially if you have a lot of other wireless devices around. Overall, to conclude, what I like about the NuPhy FIELD75 is its unique character that you won't see often on most gaming keyboards. While it's targeted towards gamers, the design, while gimmicky with a metal handlebar, gears, knobs, dials, and tons of extra macro keys, still looks clean and tidy compared to most mainstream gaming keyboards with obnoxious fonts, unnecessary lines, decals, and RGB lighting. It also shares pretty much all the characteristics that we've loved from other keyboards from NuPhy, with swappable sockets, tri-mode connectivity, and all the sound dampening materials and innovative design ideas that make their keyboards sound and feel good out of the box. However, what I don't like about this keyboard is the fact that it was released earlier than it should be, especially when it comes to the software side. This keyboard as it is right now is essentially just like a normal keyboard with some extra macro keys. You can take advantage of its knobs, side buttons, and extra gear, which is something I was looking after when I first heard about this keyboard. Other than that, the 8 extra macro keys, in my opinion, are still more than enough for any kind of gaming use case scenarios. Ultimately, if you don't need the things that it is currently lacking, this is still a pretty good gaming keyboard. And there you have it guys, thank you for watching. Huge thanks to NuPhy for sending this in, and while they did send a review sample for me to check out, this is not sponsored and they don't have any say on this review, and they'll see this video the same as you'll do. With that said, if you're interested in this keyboard, I'll put some links below so that you can check it out. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you appreciate this video, and see you next time. Have a great day guys, you're awesome.